Welcome to the Master of the NEC podcast, the ultimate destination for anyone passionate about the electrical trade. Whether you're a seasoned electrician, an eager apprentice, or just someone who wants to dive deep into the world of electrical work, you've come to the right place. Join your host, Paul Abernathy, a true authority in the industry with over 38 years of trade experience, as he electrifies your mind with in-depth discussions, expert tips, and valuable insights that will keep you ahead of the curve. Each episode, Paul will illuminate the complexities of the trade, decode the National Electrical Code, and share the latest industry trends, all while empowering you to take your electrical career to the next level. So, gear up, plug in, and get ready to supercharge your knowledge, because with the Master of the NEC podcast, the power is in your hands. Now get ready. Here is your host, Paul Abernathy.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Master of the NEC. I'm your host, Paul Abernathy. Thanks for joining me for the podcast. Hey, it's 2026. We're already, believe it or not, we're already in April. And I'm telling you, we have already hit 2 million unique downloads for the podcast. And you know, that's quite amazing because I do not do near the number of podcasts that I used to do. But I guess when you have over 1,000 episodes out there, people are still listening. So again, I appreciate all of you. I promise I will get back on the wagon and start getting out some more episodes for you. Kind of some updates and some things around that you've seen happening in the last couple months I want to talk about tonight and answer some couple code questions that I got. One of those code questions is based on a video that I did on TikTok about MC cable. So I'll talk about that a little bit, kind of give you some insight on it, because it's amazing to me that I could be somebody in the industry who has 11 patents on MC cable, and still when I post something, people still question it as if they came from some authority position to be able to even question it. But anyway, I find it interesting. And that video was a transition where MC cable transitions into an EMT. And so it's always also funny too, because I'll post an image and I'll put EMT tubing and everybody's like, well, of course T is tubing. So it's EMT tubing. It's EMT, not EMT tubing. Well, if you know the kind of situation we deal with in social media, if I did not put the tubing on the end of it, somebody would misunderstand it or misrepresent it and they wouldn't understand. So it is what it is, right? So electrical metallic tubing is a tubing. It is not a conduit. It is a raceway. But anyway, so the transition, and so it's very common in commercial applications to stub up EMT, stub it up, put a 90 on it, and put it above the drop ceiling. And then somebody comes along later and they'll bring something down to it. Most of the time, back in the day when it was electrical, we used to put 4-inch squares on the end of it. And so even though we'd stub it down, we'd still put a 4-inch square on it and transition that way. Not because of what I'm going to talk about as far as the markings, but it's just the way we did it. And then there's a lot of times when it was for data or communication, we just stub up a 90. But anyway, interesting fact that UL 1569, which is the standard for MC cable, you can get away with not marking the conductors that are inside of an MC cable. Of course, the 310 in the National Electrical Code provides for that as well, but because usually we put the markings on the reel. There's a label that gets mounted on the reel, that type of thing. But so the vast majority of MC cable is just the metal armor, the metal cladding, and there's nothing on it. Now, if it's PVC jacketed type of MC, then we'll put writing on the PVC material, but the covering outside sheathing over the armor. But for normal MC cable, it's typically, not every manufacturer will mark the individual conductors that are inside of it. Some do, some don't. That's a prerogative of the manufacturer. It's got a ribbon in there that's got pertinent information on it. But that doesn't mean that, and I saw online where somebody said that you could take MC and transition it with a listed transition fitting, which is a real thing, right? It's a fitting that lets you go from one type of wiring method to another, so that you're not kind of MacGyvering something up or creating a Frankenstein piece of equipment to transition between one to the other, even though it's probably worked forever in a field. Somebody's probably used probably a rigid coupling and put connectors on each end and probably transitioned. Reality is that's not a listed transition fitting. So when they transition, you strip off the armor and use a transition fitting, which will clamp down on the armor, and making that bond at the armor. And then the individual conductors are strip the armor off, and they go down the actual raceway. In this case, to say an EMT tubing. They argue we do it all the time, and we do that. People have been doing this for a long time. And when you didn't have the transition fittings, you just would use a box and transition, right? So the problem really is that the conductors are required to be marked when they're not being used inside of an assembly. Now, a vast majority of the manufacturers may mark the conductors inside of their MC cable, and then some may choose not to. The fact of the matter is the 1569 in the UL standard, which is the construction standard, doesn't really require that to have those markings on the individual conductors. And in the NEC, again, it even gives you the allowance to have it on the literature or have it on the actual label on a reel or coil, that type of thing. The problem is when you strip off the armor, and again, I'm not telling people what to do. They're free to do whatever they want. But when you do that, and if the conductors inside of the armor are not marked, which they didn't have to be because they're part of a cable assembly, once it's stripped out, it's no longer part of that cable assembly. Now, it's okay for termination inside of junction box. It's okay for terminations in the cabinets, but you're transitioning from a wiring method to a wiring method. So we have those rules that have to be met. And so if the conductors are not marked, well, then they technically cannot be used in the intended method as conductors in a wiring method like that, because, again, they were okay in an assembly, but not in an individual raceway, in this case, an EMT tubing. So, you get a lot of people that have heartburn online. They make a lot of comments. And again, most of the time when the nasty comments come in, I will block you. Look, there's no secret out there. People say, Paul blocks people. You damn right I do. I'll block your ass in a heartbeat. If there's a thought that you're going to take a thread and take it off rail because you're feeling like you have freedom of speech and you can say what you want, you do not have freedom of speech on a forum that's controlled by me. No different than I don't have freedom of speech on a forum where they can just remove my content like a TikTok or an Instagram or a Facebook. They remove it all the time, okay? So get over it. The reality is I'm not going to let you spew false and misleading information when I obviously wouldn't post it if I didn't know better. Now, if a manufacturers do mark their conductors, have at it. Transition fitting, and just go at it. It's perfectly fine. And it's not about the conductors at the termination when you get down to the box or cabinet. It's about what's in the wiring method. Now, again, I know that I have a vast number of people that'll say, good Lord, Paul, I've had an inspector that's never failed me. What's the harm? I'm not saying that there's a harm. A conductor's a conductor. The sheer fact of the matter is we can't control what other people may do, how they may read something, what they may do to... My son shares pictures all the time of some of the pool installations that he sees because he's in the pool industry. And I am horrified, knowing that I sit on code panel 17, but to look at some of these swimming pool installations, it makes me think no damn electrician did that. And they're supposed to be doing that. But there's no way an electrician did that. If they are, they're a pretty shoddy ass electrician. So that's one of those things that I look at all the time. So, we have to make an effort to protect people from themselves, unfortunately. Okay. And the same thing that I'm talking about with the MC cable where the conductors aren't marked also transitions over into like non-metallic sheath cable. It's the same concept. Okay. Very rarely do manufacturers put any markings on the insulated conductors that are inside of the cable assemblies, whether it's non-metallic sheath cable, MC cable, AC cable. They can, if they want to use up stock they may have, which is individual single insulated conductors, and they just trying to use it instead of having to make some more or something, then they could. If it's equivalent to THHN or TW, for example, with a non-metallic sheath cable, then you can do that. But if there's no markings on there, it's fine as long as it's in the cable assembly. And when it gets to termination, it's fine. It is not fine to strip the conductors out and use them outside of that. And this really, I'll be honest with you, this applies to any cable assembly. If the conductors are not marked and you strip them out and they're not marked, then they're not going to be compliant with 310. And so it just is what it is. And, people want to argue until they're blue in the face. I get it. Copper's copper. Aluminum's aluminum. I get it. But the fact of the matter is the code is a minimum safety standard. Everybody bitches that they don't do the minimum. Well, hell, if you don't even use the conductors properly, then you're not even meeting the minimum. So you can't have it both ways, okay? You can't be an Eric Swalwell and complain about somebody and then commit the same crime, okay? You know what I'm saying? You get me? I think you get me. Anyway, that was a great conversation over on TikTok. If you're not following me over on TikTok, consider following me. It's Master the NEC. By the way, it is Master the NEC on all of my platforms. So if you see something with a space between Master and the, or a space after the NEC or whatever, it's not me, because I'm the only one that has Master the NEC on all the platforms except for LinkedIn, where it's just my name, Paul Abernathy. Okay. And I'd love to follow you on LinkedIn as well. If you're a business, you want to follow it. I give a lot of business advice, a lot of advice for marketing your electrical contracting business. And I love to help you and answer questions for you for that too, if it's going to help your business be successful. It's what I want you to be, successful as an electrician, as a contractor, and whatnot. Okay, so anyway, that was an interesting discussion over on TikTok. What else we arguing about? Oh yeah, still got the ongoing argument and feuds with Cy Porter, as always. His little minions are fast at it. I blocked most of them, but they still come over to my social platforms and post something, knowing that nobody will ever see it. So, I'm still living in all of their minds, and that's fine. We did put up a legal notice to Cy, and it seems like he's complying a little bit with it. Okay, clearly admitting that he's knows that he's in the wrong, but he's also an extreme liar and misleading and an attention whore. But, people say, well, why don't you let him comment back? First of all, he won't comment. Secondly, he's doing it all for clicks. So it doesn't bother me. So I don't lose any sleep over there. Some other guys were really worried about him. He does not worry about it. He's insignificant in the realm of the world that I roll around in. And he doesn't matter. Okay. His whole existence just doesn't matter to me. But it's funny how he would post this recent thing he did with some kind of, I didn't even know anything about it, but it's some kind of conspiracy. I think the more I'm learning after I was drug into this and he started doing these videos again, I guess he needs some more attention. I guess the sales from home inspections must be going off. He doesn't have near the client base that Inspector Preston has, obviously. And I guess they're running out of the Horton homes to inspect out there in Arizona. But it's what was funny is he went into this conspiracy theorist thing where I guess I was conspiring with, and I'm no new to this conspiracy thing, right? Remember what happened in the issue with this copper-clad thing? I was part of some conspiracy thing that never happened. Anyway, I guess I look like one of those guys that would be involved in that. I guess I look like I'm not a mafia guy. Maybe I look like a mafia. I don't know. I think I look like a little roly-poly, but whatever. So anyway, the rumor was he started spreading this garbage to his minions, his little followers, little deadheads out there. And incidentally, his following grew because he was on TV, because he was trashing a builder. And the builder ended up filing a complaint against him. And he got reprimand letter, but they didn't do anything. Again, because it's his business. He can say what he wants about anything. He can say what he wants about me. I really don't care. And he does, and I don't care. I'll be honest with you, I can't say anything about his inspections. I've said stuff about when he calls out something that's wrong because he thinks he knows electrical. But as far as his inspection techniques, I mean, he was an InterNACHI member. He's not anymore. I'm a CMI. He's a CMI. I was a CMI long before he was ever a CMI. I was one of the very first certified master inspectors from InterNACHI in the the CMI board in Colorado. But I don't have anything about him other than that, but he seems to want to throw my name around a lot. And that's fine. His little minions say some really nasty stuff, and that's fine too. I don't really care. But at the end of the day, making an assumption that I was part of something that I don't even 100% know what went on exactly. What I've gathered is that he caused somebody's wife to get fired, probably frivolously making up stuff. And she got upset, rightfully so. He fired a nasty, I don't know if it's an email, a text, a letter. I'm not 100% sure on that because I didn't know anything about it until it was shared to me that Cy was doing these videos with me in it. Now, he's done videos before where he's taken what I've said out of context, and there is a little clip he runs a lot, which I'm flattered, where I call him a nobody, because he is really, he's a nobody. Just because you think you got a couple hundred thousand, whatever, 100,000s of followers, look at who they are. Really? I mean, you're not my client base. They're not my client base. They're not electricians. Electricians that, if there's an electrician out there that takes a home inspector's side and doesn't understand when something's cut up and used improperly, then I probably wouldn't want you in my courses or taking my classes anyway. So you're no loss to me. Okay, I don't lose sleep over you. But I guess what happened is it said something, and I don't know the details, and I purposely wasn't involved in any of it. But it seems like I'm put on this board where he's got this yarn, strung up like some kind of CSI thing. And I don't see his videos. I don't. I swear to you, I don't watch his videos. The image that I use to kind of make little funny clips or videos is what's shared with me. I don't watch them. Our attorneys do. They have an account. They keep an eye on him because of his recent actions. But other than that, I don't follow him because it just doesn't appeal to me. The same as I don't, in fairness, I don't watch electrical videos. I don't watch, Dustin's got a great channel with Electrician U, but I don't watch Dustin's videos. There's nothing that I can learn from those videos. And so I really, I could never watch when I get it when I have a channel that has 35,000 or 40,000 on this platform and 20 on this one and 30 on this one. And we get 300,000 unique downloads a month on our podcast because I started podcasting. I'm still one of the few that are still podcasting out there. I get it, but at the end of the day, people listen to me for code and my insight. I don't watch other electricians' videos because I don't have the desire to watch somebody run conduit or pull conductors in raceways or talk about things that I already know about ad nausea. Okay. I can't get into watching transformer videos when I've done tons of transformer videos. I can't get into watching motor videos when I teach it all the time and I understand very detailed about motors. So, I mean, I'm sorry, I just can't. It's no disrespect to any of them that do them. We need it, but I just can't. I can't do it. It's not my thing. Now, that doesn't mean you folks out there don't. Okay, if you're learning the trade, you're trying to gain knowledge, those things can be extremely beneficial. I watch YouTube all the time. Now, I'm not watching them for electrical. But I tell you what, I listen to podcasts almost every day still. Some people say podcasting's dead. Dude, we're still doing, we've done 2 million unique downloads so far this year. It's up well beyond the 300 average 300,000 downloads a month at this stage. It went crazy the last 2 months, and it's on pace for this month. I appreciate every one of you out there that listen and share our podcast. And I still request topics. It's just now all you got to do is just go to our website, fasttracksystem.com, and you'll see in the navigation, there's a Let's Ask Paul link. I just don't do it through the old way. Right now, we as a corporation have grown. And so now everything is internally through our site rather than third parties, using third parties like Wix and things like that. We just don't have to do that anymore. Thank God. I mean, I'm blessed that we have been successful. And y'all done it. Y'all have made it successful. All of you out there that have been a part of our programs, we really appreciate it. One of the guiding lights of, I shouldn't say guiding light. One of the guiding light is to always try to keep providing new things, new avenues for people to get knowledge. That's what my goal is, right? So when we create platforms and programs, right, we try to create them so that we can give an avenue for you to be able to watch the things like Dustin's videos or Mike's videos or my videos or somebody's. That's the goal. Now, when we created Fast Tracks Tube, for example, we created a unique platform that is that we're always adding new videos. It's exclusively where we're going to have our 2026 videos. And incidentally, we've got a couple of them that are dropping here in the next couple of days, and they're going to be open to everybody that's a member. Once the course is done, our 2026 course, then all of it won't be available. But until then, I'm going to try to make as much of it as available as I can to everybody that subscribes for the $99, because I think, you know what? That's a lot of money. Even $99 is, still you're giving up your hard-earned money, and I appreciate it. But we're going to try to make as many of the videos available over there. I think the Fast Tracks Tube is awesome because it gets rid of all of the commercials. It still gives some of the providers, the software that we use still gives them the click value. They still get the views, but it's a way that our system it still shows. It doesn't show the ads, but their ads are running. I don't know how to explain it. They're not shown to the viewer. So it's pretty complicated how this works on the back end. So, they're getting credit. People are getting credit for views, but we're able to do it into an ecosystem that's just easier to watch. It's a neater platform. It's a little more focused than you would get on YouTube, which, YouTube's still great, that type of thing. But so just a little different delivery. If you haven't seen it, we do have some free videos over there. You can find them over on fasttrackstube.com. So it's also Fast Tracks TV as well. You can find it there too. But that's been great. This past year has really seen that grow as well. There's a lot of great videos. We just uploaded a couple the other day, and there's a ton of them in there. It's definitely a gold mine for anybody that's trying to learn calculations, because we have an 8-hour video over there that you can, it's tough to sit 8 hours and watch calculations, right? But again, it's beneficial. You'll walk away learning something from it. And we actually sold that webinar back when we did it. I can't remember. I think it's $300 or $400 for 8 hours, webinar. Well worth it then, but now it's just included in the 99. So we haven't done a full 8-hour calculation series again since that last one. I think I got to talk to Jeff. I think we need to probably do one this year now that we have the 2026 is really out, and states are going to start adopting it in the next 6 months or more. They're if not in the process now doing it. Texas will probably do it in September. Maine probably already has, but so we got to start rolling those things out there to do that. Most of you states out there, you're still going to be on the 2023 or 2020 for a while yet still, so you don't have to worry too much about that. So, but we'll make sure we have most of that content complete by then for those that are interested. But yeah, that's a great platform, and it's been doing wonderful things. People love Fast Tracks Tube. So again, and you can leave comments there as well. I don't know if you knew that, but you can actually watch a video and leave, a comment or give a thumbs up or whatnot, just like you can on any other platform. So I encourage you to check that out. Okay, what other question did I have recently? Electrical question. Let's see. I thought I had a question that I was going to just talk about today. Let me see if I can dig that up. Okay. This question says, "Hey, Paul, quick question for you. I'm working out of the 2023 code, And specifically in a commercial office setting, are we allowed to install 15 amp receptacles in a commercial setting? I always install 20 ampere, but I am looking in the code and can't find any code that wouldn't allow me to install 15 amp receptacles. Thanks for your help. P.S. I missed coffee hour. Okay, yeah. So this is a long-time listener who follows us on, and when we did the coffee hour and things like that. So great question. So most people are familiar in the NEC, and I've talked about it before. About the receptacle ratings and everything that falls under 210.21, and he is in the 2023 edition of the NEC, by the way. So he's asking about receptacles ratings, and specifically allows a 15 or a 20 amp to be installed on a 20 amp circuit, just like you probably are familiar with how you probably have done this in a residence. You've done it in a kitchen on a counter, in a kitchen counter. You've used a 15 amp rated device and put it on the 20 amp circuit. It's okay. So there isn't really any difference. Nothing's changing. So could you do it in a commercial setting? Well, the answer is yes, but you have to understand a few things. Typically in a commercial environment like that, you're going to have drawings. And the drawings are going to have requirements and rules on those drawings. And those drawings are probably going to call for it to be 20 amp rated devices. And so I think in my 40 years in the industry, and early in my career, I did a lot of commercial work with my brother. We did commercial stuff too. And I can tell you that I recall that when an engineer would put on there, it was a 20 amp circuit, and they would actually denote on there that it was a 20 amp rated receptacle. So, and again, this rule table 210.21b3 is for where it says circuits that are serving more than one receptacle. So a duplex, by the way, is more than one receptacle. It's two receptacles, even though it shares a yoke, it's still. So the rules in 210.21b3 would apply. But I can tell you right now, a lot more is going to be, can you do something? Yes. Is it going to be okay? Sure. Here's the problem also. Is that, again, if the specifications say one thing, then you need to follow the specifications. You create a conflict, and the inspector is going to look at these drawings, and he's going to look at this, and code is the minimum. So the engineer, design professional, that may be what they want. So in theory, could you do it? Yes. Now, the other thing you got to be aware of is the permissible loads and things like that. So a lot of times in this scenario, these are going to be like a cord and plug connected for receptacles, where you'd be putting cord and plug connected type of loads, and you're supplying two or more receptacles, and again, a duplex would be, then you have some limitations, because if it's a 15 amp receptacle, then the maximum load is 12 amps on it. If it's a 20 amp, then the maximum load is 16. So it could play an effect on the loading of what you're putting on these circuits and how he designed the system and how he may have laid it out. So I encourage you, listener, very loyal listener, appreciate you. I don't think he would be upset if I said his name is Manny. Manny's a great guy. He follows us all the time, very dedicated. We appreciate that. 210.21B, Manny, look at B2 and B3. But to answer your questions, no, nothing from the code perspective, then it's clear that you can put a 15 amp rated device on a 20 amp branch circuit. Okay, like that. Now, if it's a simplex, that's different. That's a single receptacle application, right? You got to be careful, because it says a single simplex receptacle is installed on an individual branch circuit. I mean, that's the only thing on it. Shall have an ampacity, the receptacle shall have an ampacity rating not less than. So obviously, if it's a 20 amp branch circuit, then this single simplex cannot have a 15 amp, because it would be less than the rating of the branch circuit. Okay, could be more, and this tricks people up in our prep questions all the time. It can be more, but it just can't be less, right? Then the receptacle installed on that individual branch circuit shall have an ampacity not less than the branch circuit. So if it's a 20 amp branch circuit and it's a single simplex, then it's got to be at least 20. Okay. And that kind of throws people, because again, if the same thing falls into where it's 40 and 50 amp and people want to know that type of thing, it's the same concept. Okay. As long as the receptacle that's being installed on it is not less than what the rating is of the brand circuit, then it's fine. Okay, I can put a 50 on a 40. That 50 is not less than the rating of the brand circuit. That tends to screw people's brains up a little bit. They get kind of funky with it. But in your situation, it's really probably the reason we've always done it is because engineers and design professionals, when they see a 20 amp commercial, and also the other thing is they also tend to want to have commercial devices. And I don't know this to be a fact because I'm not in that world, the device world, but I don't know if they actually make commercial grade 15s. I'm sure they probably do. You know, somebody out there is going to say, Paul, you're stupid. You don't know that. Well, no, I don't, because I always installed 20 amps in it, you know, that type of thing. So, but anyway, there you go. I don't regularly ever recall 15 amp circuits in a commercial setting except for to lighting, that type of thing. That's just me. Okay. So anyway, hopefully that answered your question, Manny. You know, kind of giving you a little bit, maybe more than you wanted, but that's the kind of the everything, the way you got to look at it. Okay. All right. We got any other questions? Okay. So let's see. Here's another one came in not too long ago. I still got to catch up on a lot of these, but this one came in. So that's the first time I'm seeing this one. Let's try to answer this together here. It says, and I really don't use names of people, but in the future, folks, if you want me to give you a shout out, because again, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. Okay. You know, don't feel like you can't ask a question and want your name, because everybody loves a good shout out, right? So anyway, this question says, I have a question for you, sir. It's about transformers. Okay. It says, out in the field, for example, we usually size a 70 kVA transformer with a primary overcurrent of 90 amps incoming and a secondary overcurrent of 200 amps. Okay. It says, but if you use 450.3b, you size primary overcurrent at 250%. Okay. I'm going to give you a little thoughts about that, because you can go at primary at 50. You don't have to go all the way up to 250. And I'll tell you why most do not. But anyway, so it says, but if you use 450.3b, you size primary at 250% and secondary overcurrent at 125%. Why is it standard practice to use the field to use the field example and not the code compliant example? I'm going to assume that you mean why you very rarely ever see the primary protection for that transformer at 250%. And I've talked about this in my transformer videos. I encourage you to go watch them. They're over on our Fast Tracks tube. First of all, if you size the primary protection for that transformer at 250%, then there's a high probability that you're not going to protect the conductors on the primary side. Okay. So typically those conductors, if something is translated into, say, a continuous load, and usually a design professionals at the worst case scenario will do the primary side conductors at 125%. And if they size the primary protection of the transformer at depending on whatever their amps come out with, if they size that at 125%, then basically they're doing double duty. They're protecting not only the primary side conductors, but they're also protecting the transformer itself. So it's double duty. Because what you could do is, if you did 250%, then you're either going to have to size the conductors properly, okay, or you're going to end up having to oversize the primary side conductors, which nobody wants to waste money in oversizing something that's not necessary, right? And if you're using your transformer rules, certain things you can do and you can't do. So typically, the only time we ever see the 250% on the primary side is if we have a feeder that's going to these transformers that may be supplying multiple transformers. And if that's the case, then you have this collective amount that is on the load side of a disconnect, and you want that disconnect, let's say, to serve multiple duties, be the disconnect primary side protection for multiple transformers. Okay. If that's the case, then, you can go up to 250%, right? Of course, there is also a little note there that says if a transformer happens to be equipped with coordinated thermal overload protection, and you will know that by the price of the transformer, it's provided by the manufacturer, then it gives you some additional allowances where it can be not more than 6 times the rated current on the transformer for transformers not having more than 6% impedance, and not more than 4 times the rated current on a transformer where they have more than 6 but not more than 10% impedance. So there are some other allowances that may even let you go a little higher than the 250%, to be honest with you. But it's all based on what protection is inherent by the manufacturer. Now, when it comes to 250%, if you want to use the 250%, you can. And as long as those conductors are still protected, but nobody's going to use the 250 to protect that and then size it down to protect the conductors. You get what I'm saying? So it's the reason you see that in the field is typically because it just makes sense. There's no real need to go to 250%. And nothing says you have to. It's you can go up to. It says the maximum rating and setting is 250%. Doesn't mean you have to use 250%. So if you use 125, it's still code compliant. You get what I'm saying? So it's just a standard practice in the industry to do double duty and protect those primary conductors as well as the transformer itself. And so whatever protection's there, that's mainly serving as the protection for the transformer, but inherently it's also going to be protecting the primary side conductors as well. Does that make sense? Okay. And then, of course, the secondary is going to be that 125. Again, that's the max. Okay. So you could go up to 125%. Doesn't mean you have to go all the way up to it. You could do it at 100% if you want. Okay. All right. Hopefully that answers that question to somebody. But that's, again, I get it. It's what you see out in the field. But that's the kind of the rationale. Hopefully that makes sense. That's the rationale behind it. Let's see. We got anything else? Let's see here. Okay. He says, here's a question that came in. It says, I was wondering, I have had an inspector call me multiple times on the clear nylon on Romex being damaged. Okay. It says, I was wondering if you had any code reference that I could tell this inspector that this is not part of the integral system for the wire. Thank you for your help. Okay, so this one is a little bit confusing because typically none of the manufacturers put any clear nylon on their sheathing. So this leads me to think you're talking about the clear nylon that's on the conductors inside of the non-metallic sheath cable, which in this case Romex is a trade name for Southwire. That's their non-metallic sheath cable. But we don't put any clear anything on the sheathing. Sheathing is usually PVC extruded sheathing. It is, if it is damaged, they do make a cable repair method to do it, repair the cable. It does not have an insulation rating. It typically is rated for equivalent to whatever the conductors would be, which in this case would be 90 degree, but it's still not insulation. It's just a sheathing. Can it get damaged during install? Absolutely. As long as you repair it using a proper method to repair it. And of course, it has to be acceptable to the AHJ. But in this case, when you say clear nylon, this makes me think that you're talking about the conductors inside, which are very similar to THHN. Of course, the standard UL 719 allows for conductors in non-metallic sheath cable to be equivalent to THHN. As far as construction, or TW. TW tends to be a little thicker, doesn't have any nylon on it. So typically the equivalent to THHN is still going to have the nylon on it, okay? Extruded over it, a thin layer. Now, I can tell you that nylon that gets extruded over it, very thin, like 4 mils, that has no insulation value either. Typically, when we have THHN in being the nylon, typically that is to help reduce the coefficient of friction during the pull and offer some level of protection to the insulated conductor. Okay. Now the caveat to that is if I was installing single insulated conductors in a raceway in an oil and gas environment, like out on an oil rig or or maybe in a piece of equipment that is switches that are immersed in oil or some way that they're in a rupture, it could get oil down into the raceway, into these conductors. Then I have to make sure that nylon's not damaged, okay? That extruded nylon over top of the insulation. But anywhere else, 99.9% of all normal installations out there, if the nylon gets chewed up, it's no big deal. It doesn't hurt anything. Why? Because it doesn't inherently bring any value to the insulation. It really doesn't. I know people want to argue about it. It doesn't. It's sacrificial. Now, in a non-metallic sheath cable, what you're seeing is that typically most of us are going to use stems of THHN, and we're just not going to put any markings on it because it goes inside of the assembly, so we're not going to spend the money to put the ink on there, but it's still got the nylon on it. So if it gets damaged, it really doesn't matter. It shouldn't get damaged if it's inside the cable assembly with the sheathing over it and it's wrapped in paper jute. But at the end of the day, that's what you're talking about, because I'm not aware of any clear nylon that's on top of the Romex or non-metallic sheath cable. So I can only assume you're talking about the conductors inside. And so there you go. So it's sacrificial. And then we know that's also the case with this non-metallic sheath cable because these conductors aren't designed to use in a wet location anyway. So you certainly couldn't use it in an oil and gas location. It's non-metallic sheath cable, for God's sake. The nylon is in there. If there's nylon on those conductors, it's just there for the ride. It doesn't do anything as far as creating any additional value. It's just there. And most of us manufacturers we don't want to make something special for a low margin product. Well, it used to be really low margin. And then after COVID, non-metallic sheath cable kind of skyrocketed in price. I'm sure y'all have seen it by going to the supply house. Well, it was a low margin product and it turned into a damn good margin product because it's easy to produce and it uses the same inners that we would use for anything else. We just get to save a step and not put printing on it because it's inside of the cable assembly. So they use whatever we have, and that's why it still has the nylon on it, that type of thing. Plus, it's got to be equivalent to THHN, and that's part of THHN's construction, right? So anyway, hopefully that answers that question for you. It's a great question. Appreciate you sending it and sending it. And you guys, you know that you can send any question you want to me by just going to our website, fasttracksystem.com. And then all you've got to do is just put in your question, give your information, click that submit button. And again, we do it much easier. Believe it or not, it's much easier now than it used to be on Wix. Okay. But Wix sponsored us for years. And then we just kind of outgrew it a little bit, that type of thing. Okay. Let's see here. I got another question. This is a long one. And I don't know if it's actually a question or not, but I'll read it. It says, I'm trying to pass my Texas electrical exam. I don't recall the journeyman test being so cumbersome. Okay. I only have until May 14th to pass it as it expires, and I kind of effed off for a year. That sucks, but I get it. Life does get in the way sometimes, so don't let it beat you up too bad. It says, I took the last few years off as I was semi-retired. Okay, well, that makes sense. Your head's not in the code when you're kind of retired. It says, after some interesting times and a divorce, I'm looking to get my master's license and really dial in. I took the test and got a 61 on the code theory portion, only finishing about 55 of 75 questions, and that's where you went wrong. That's where your problem is right there for that one. You ran out of time. That is where you got to learn the three-wave method, man, and really optimize your how you manage your questions. That would have saved you a thing. But I'm going to tell you, a lot of people, and this is why we created the structured program. It doesn't matter we could have used I could have used Mike Holt's book and created our Fast Tracks program. It doesn't matter about the code is code. It's the method that we use to teach you. That's what separates us from everybody. And again, it sounds like a commercial, but that is what it is. And so the way we hit you with a question, hit you with the chevrons, hit you with the competency review, and it's bam, 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 bam. And then we support you all the way with Fast Tracks Interact or the ability to ask questions and comments. And then, of course, if you get the enhanced program, you get to watch the videos as well, extra videos over on Fast Tracks too. Okay. It's not a video course, by the way. It's extra ancillary videos, okay? So anyway, that's kind of a 1-2 punch to help you, but I get it. So it looks like you had trouble. And folks, if you go into an exam and you find yourself having to look up every question on the exam in the index, back and forth, you're not going to pass. I mean, you may get lucky, but statistically, you're not going to pass. Why? Because you freaking run out of time. Okay. It says, I need to get quick and better. I don't know how I get hung up on time, but I do. I got a 63 on the calculations. Well, you're close on the calcs. You're getting there. It says, I actually thought I did better than on that, but I digress. It says, what do you recommend? I have to cram and pass this thing. I've been doing the Tom Henry 2023 Master Electrician Open Book and Calculations. And I tell people all the time, it's great stuff, but you cannot be successful, in my opinion, on an exam without a proper study plan. And I tell you young folk out there, you that are studying for your journeyman or studying for your master, look, you have to give somebody 3 months of your life, 12 weeks, to transform your ability to learn and absorb code. It's going to make you a better electrician in the field, but it's a proven science, folks. We didn't just start this the other day. So even though I got all these haters out there, look, we have proven it. That is a proven science. The data shows how you study. That doesn't mean you can't do it quicker. I'm just saying that's what the data shows. We've been keeping information on people in the testing and how they move through the course, the analytics for years. There's a way that it works, okay? So we're not making that up. We're not blowing smoke anywhere. Now, it says, but the past week, it feels like I haven't made progress and even regressed. That can happen when you're really doing code questions only, and you're only as good as the question, how it's written. So that I can see that. It says, it went from passing the open book 5 in a row in the 70s and 83 range. Now that is still passing, but that is not good, my friend. Getting a 70 on a non-pressurized test like that, when you know that the pressurized test, when you're in an exam room, that 70's passing and you're just barely getting 70s or barely popping over the 80s in an environment where you shouldn't be as stressed is not great. Okay, so I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying it's not great. So there is work that we can do. There's work to be done. So it said, I went from doing the 70 to 83 range to failing the past 4 master open book tests with an average of 60 to 68. It says, in some cases, finished as I have been focusing on being faster, and in other cases, feeling like giving up. I don't know, man. I'm trying to be optimistic, but I am wondering if I should just give up. Okay. Let's deal with the last sentence first. No, you should never give up. Ever. And don't let it creep into your head to give up. You can do this. You can get this. You're so close. You're so close. I think what's happening is you're letting test-taking anxiety rule you, because I can read it in your stress. I can read it in how you ask the question. And so you have to step back, and I would tell you you have to study the right way. Now, here's the one unique thing about me that I will tell you, and people will attest to this. If you hear me, if you're in the earshot of this podcast and you hear this, go on and leave me a comment and say, Paul's right. He did tell me this. I do not like to sell courses to somebody that only have about a month or a month and a half or so left before they test. Why? It's just way too much information to absorb. You waited too long. Now, the reason that people sometimes end up buying is because they realize, well, if they fail it, they'll just keep studying it and they already have the program and it's better off to at least try and they may get lucky. I agree with that 100%. But I don't push anything on anybody with that short amount of time, because it's a lot of information to absorb. It literally is. And we have hundreds of videos you can watch on Fast Tracks Tube. The course is very detailed. We have a database of over 800 exam style questions, and there's even some videos in that database as well. Very extensive. So it's just a lot. And you'll get into what's called the brain fog. And this is what this gentleman's having. And your scores will start to get worse. And then you'll start to creep in this anxiety, and it's not going to help you when it comes to test day. Okay. So my advice here is, one, do you have to take it on that date? Can you postpone it? Do you have enough time? Or are they cutting you off for some reason and you have to take it? Well, that's a different thing. If that's the case, then what my recommendation to you is, if you do get a course, you get something that is structured, and you go through it, whether now, if you have a month, sounds like you've got a month, that you should spend at least 3 times a week, 5 hours or so studying. When it starts to get jumbly in your head, take a break, step away, come back, but at least that amount of time, and really focus, and also mix in some of our videos over on the Fast Tracks too, especially our calculation stuff. So maybe one night do the questions in the course, do the course. The next night, just chill out and watch some videos. The next night, kill the course again. Next night, take a little chill. Friday, kill the course again. Saturday, Sunday, relax, enjoy family, relaxation, build up your energy again, and tackle it again on Monday. You've got this. You'll get it. It's just the way you've been studying. And I tell people out there all the time, and people will tell me, Paul, you're wrong. No, that's your unique experience where you say, no, I didn't need all that. I didn't need to study. I didn't need to do this. I just picked up the code book and I passed. Well, la-di-da. I've taught over 100,000 students. I keep track of how students do. I get a lot of feedback from students. When I tell you something, it's based on my experience doing this nearly 40 damn years, not because you went and took a test. Your ability to pass an exam is different than somebody else's. So don't post a comment thinking that you understand how it works, because you don't. You understand how you work, but you do not understand how other people work. And I have been blessed to be able to have to work with different people with all different types of learning disabilities. People that really don't comprehend things very well, people that are super, super smart, but they overanalyze everything, and that causes them to go down these rabbit holes that are going to affect their ability to pass an exam. I deal with them all. So it's just like when I get comments on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and all this, where they make comments, people that do that, who make comments in the comment sections about certain things, you have no clue. I'm telling you, I'm talking to you out there that do that. You have no clue. You only know your experience. I have the opportunity to know thousands and thousands and thousands of students, have conversations with them on the phone, interact with them, be a part of their success, and yes, be a part of their failure to ultimately help them succeed. So that's why I control my comments on my platforms. You want to know the reason why I don't let people go down a tirade on my social media? Because I am not about to let some of you taint the content by saying smart aleck things in there, or matter of fact things, or certain things that are going to derail somebody's focus. Okay, I'll do that, not you. Okay, I'm the Dave Ramsey of code. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to let you do it. Okay, so again, at the end of the day, that's where we're at with it. So for you, my friend, just need to get in a good program, whether it's ours or somebody else's. It doesn't matter, but you need to remember it has to be structured. Okay, very structured. It means you go from unit to unit to unit. You don't jump around. You don't skip around. Things like that. You have to be very focused. Okay. All right. All right, everybody. That's about it for this episode. Hopefully you got something out of that. Also, I mentioned, if you have not tried out TradeHog, give it a shot. For those out there, some people are getting confused that have our subscription. There's 3 pages that are important if you're a subscriber. There's the TradeHog page, there's the Office Hog if you have the TradeHog Premium, and then there's the Study Hog. The page that comes when you type tradehog.net or .com or .org, that's the demo. That's the front page. That's only going to give you a couple questions. You maybe 1 or 2. That is not your account. I've had people reach out and say, I can't get into my account. That's because you're not on your account page. You need to log in and go to the actual TradeHog page. Okay. And the big difference is you'll see demo on the one that's a demo for the general public to try it out. You can't be on the demo. You got to be on the regular page. So go to the navigation and make sure you follow it and follow instructions. Okay. And that'll help you out. But the A lot of great feedback from TradeHog. It's always getting smarter. It's using the latest mixtures of Claude and Grok and the latest ChatGTP. And it also is using information that, Jeff, we upload ourselves into the database. So it's got our own little flavor as well to help try to answer these questions. And for those that are using StudyHog while their exams prepping, it's a great resource because you can post questions in there of something you get in a course and you don't understand it. You cut it and paste it, post it in there, and it'll give you a detailed explanation. But before it lets you leave, it's going to ask you a code question so that you get an endless supply of code-related questions. So it's an awesome platform. So for those that are interested in it, check it out. All right, folks, that's it. I hopefully you got something out of today's podcast. Until next time, stay safe. God bless. Keep working hard out there. God bless America. And let's just keep it rolling. Great opportunities are on the horizon for all of you that get in this trade. So I look forward to chatting with you again. Take care.
Thanks for tuning into another electrifying episode of the Master of the NEC podcast. We hope you're feeling more powered up and ready to tackle the electrical world with the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Remember, in the electrical trade, knowledge is power, and we're here to make sure you stay plugged into the latest insights, tips, and code updates. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your fellow electricians and industry pros. Until next time, keep your tools sharp, your circuits clear, and your mind focused, because here at the Master of the NEC podcast, we're all about sparking your success. Stay safe, stay smart, and keep mastering the trade. From all of us here at Electrical Code Academy, thank you for all your support, and we will see you on the next amazing Master of the NEC podcast episode.